quadratic equation solve करना है? Don't worry, don't get stressed out. Today, we are absolutely going to master the easiest method out there to solve them, factorization. Come on, let's jump right in.
So yeah, in just the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through the entire step-by-step process. And trust me on this, it is so simple, you'll be solving these problems in your sleep. It's really that easy. But hang on, before we start solving, let's take a step back. What are we actually looking for? I mean, what does root or a solution even mean? Let's get that clear first. Okay, so a root is basically just a special value for x that makes the whole equation work perfectly. You know, when you plug that number into the equation, everything on the left side balances out to equal what's on the right side, which is usually 0. It's the one number that satisfies the equation. Let's take a look at this example right here. If we take x equals 1 and plug it in, what happens? You get 2 times 1 squared minus 3 times 1 plus 1. So that's just 2 minus 3 plus 1, which equals 0. See? It works. The equation holds true. So we can say for sure that 1 is a root. Simple as that. All right, so I think the basics are clear now. It's time to get to the main event, the PQ splitting method. This, my friends, is the absolute heart of factorization. We're going to use this one single equation as our guide for the whole process. 2x squared minus 5x plus 3 equals 0. We're going to break it down piece by piece. You ready? Let's do this. You know, the entire method really just boils down to these 2 simple steps. First, we have to find 2, let's call them magic numbers, p and q. And second, we're going to use those numbers to split the middle term of our equation. That's it. Now, pay close attention. This is the most crucial part. These 2 numbers, p and q, have to follow 2 very specific rules. Rule number 1, when you add them, p plus q, they have to equal the middle term's number, which in this case is minus 5. And rule number 2, when you multiply them, p times q, they have to equal the product of the first and last numbers. So 2 times 3, which is 6. So let's hunt for them. We need 2 numbers that multiply to 6. Okay, what about 1 and 6? Nope, their sum is 7. That's not it. What about minus 1 and minus 6? Nope, their sum is minus 7. Let's see, how about minus 2 and minus 3? Their product is positive 6, and their sum is minus 5. Bingo, we've found our pair. Fantastic, we found our numbers. Now it's time for the fun part. We get to split the equation, group the terms, and solve for the final answer. Let's go! So, the first thing we do is rewrite our equation. But instead of writing minus 5x, we're going to write minus 2x minus 3x, using the p and q we just found. Notice the value of the equation is exactly the same, right? We've just kind of stretched it out. Now it's time for grouping. Just look at the first 2 terms. 2x squared and minus 2x. What's common? Well, 2 x's, and that leaves us with x minus 1 in a bracket. Now for the next 2 terms, we can take minus 3 common, and look, that also leaves us with x minus 1, and that's the magic. Seeing that same bracket twice is exactly what we wanted. Okay, so since that x minus 1 bracket is a common factor, we can just pull it out. And what's left behind? Well, we have the 2x from the first part and the minus 3 from the second part. And boom, there we have it, our 2 neat factors. 2x minus 3 times x minus 1 equals 0. This whole thing works because of a really powerful but super simple idea called the zero product rule. It just says that if you multiply 2 things together, let's say a and b, and the answer is 0, well, then either a has to be 0 or b has to be 0. There's just no other way to get 0. So let's apply that powerful rule to our factors. It means that either our first bracket, the 2x minus 3, has to be equal to 0, or our second bracket, the x minus 1, has to be equal to 0. One of them must be true. And now all we have to do is solve these 2 super simple equations to get our final answer. From 2x minus 3 equals 0, a little bit of rearranging gives us x equals 3 divided by 2. And from x minus 1 equals 0, well, that's easy, x equals 1. And there you have it. Those are the 2 roots of our original quadratic equation. So now you know the method inside and out, but you know what they say, practice makes perfect. So let's build up your confidence with a couple more problems and see how this stuff actually applies to the real world. All right, a quick practice round. Look at these two equations side by side. For the first one, x squared plus 5x plus 6, we need numbers that multiply to 6 and add to positive 5. That's obviously 2 and 3. So the roots are -2 and -3. Now, look at the second one. This time, we need numbers that multiply to 6, but add to -5. That has to be -2 and -3, which gives us roots of +2 and +3. Isn't that interesting? Just changing that one sign in the middle completely flips the signs of our final answers.
Okay, let's level up. Let's try a tougher one, the kind you might actually see on an exam paper. Now, for 6x squared minus x minus 2, it might look complicated, but the process is exactly the same. Your a times c is 6 times -2, so that's -12, and p plus q has to be -1. Think about it. What two numbers work? It's got to be -4 and +3. You split the term, group them up, and I promise you'll find the roots are 2 by 3 and -1 by 2. See? The method always works.
So you might be thinking, okay, but when will I ever use this? Well, imagine you're figuring out the width of a new garden path, and the math gives you this equation. When you solve it, you get two roots. One is 1, and the other is a negative number. Now, just use your common sense for a second. Can a path have a negative width? No way, right? Of course not. So we just ignore the negative root. The only practical, valid solution is that x equals 1 meter. So you see, context is absolutely key. We're almost there. Let's bring it all home and wrap up with some absolutely crucial tips to make sure you nail these questions and score full marks in your exams. Okay, you have to be careful of these 3 common traps. First, rushing and picking the wrong P and Q pair. Second, silly plus-minus sign mistakes. They happen all the time. And third, forgetting to set both factors equal to 0 at the end. If you can just avoid these, you are already way ahead of most people. And now for some pro tips to really impress your examiner. First, always write down your P plus Q and P times Q conditions before you start. Second, show all your working clearly. Don't skip steps. And finally, if you have a minute at the end, plug your answers back into the original equation. It's the ultimate way to confirm you got it right. So, if you remember just one thing from this whole explainer, let it be this golden line. Factorization is just split, group, and solve. That is the entire process in just 3 words. Once this method is perfect for you, you're guaranteed to get full marks. Thanks for watching.